So the two new couples have gone on their honeymoon. We have Gemma and Matt in Portugal and Sophie and Jonathan in St. Lucia. Starting with Gemma and Matt. These two seem to be getting on all right. But then we've already started to see the vulgarity coming out of Gemma already. This girl, this woman, I've got no words. I'm absolutely speechless. I'm absolutely speechless. Never come across anyone like her. Where did they get her from? And looking at Matt, he is not having it. He's not the least bit impressed. He wants to be the one to do the chasing. He doesn't want her all over him, lusting after him. That's not what he's looking for. He's on this program to find himself a partner, a wife. And he's looking for something long term, not just lust, which is what she's still on. She's into the one night stands, the hookup culture. She's into that. He may have been into that. I'm not disputing that. But he's not looking for that here. He wants to take this experiment seriously. Her mind is still back in Devon with her one night stands, her hookups. And he's not about that. He does, however, say that Gemma has a lovely side, but it's the vulgarity, the lustfulness that doesn't do it for him. That's what he said. And with her behaving in that way, it makes him take 10 paces back. Just when he thinks the balance is right, he's having to step backwards again. Coming forward, stepping back. Coming forward, stepping back. This is a consistent pattern we're seeing so far. This is ridiculous. As he says, he likes where sex is unspoken, which is the majority of people. This lady here, I have no words. She's not very good at reading people. She thinks this is normal. She actually thinks this is normal. She just puts it all out. She just puts it all out there. Enough about her. Moving on to Sophie and Jonathan. They arrived in St. Lucia. These two look like a happy couple. They look the part. They look good together. I still have my doubts though, but they look good together. Everything seems to be starting off on a good note. Jonathan's saying he wants to take it slower than he would normally, because normally he would jump in feet first. But this time round, he wants to take things slightly slower before putting his feelings out there. Yeah. And that's a good idea. That's a good idea. Good strategy. We next saw one or two of the original couples spending quality time together. First of all, we saw Shanita and Jordan go bowling.
You go, Shan. You are the ball, Shan. You are the ball.
After what became an emotional commitment ceremony for the group.
Then we see Jenna give Zoe a relaxing facial massage.
It's all about you today, babe.
Is it?
Yeah.
Why?
It's nice to do something for you.
Followed by April drawing George naked.
Why do you think they've got you drawing me?
So I can appreciate every part of you.
Hopefully you do.
After the drama of the last commitment ceremony with Thomas and Adrian, we saw them sit down discussing what happened and looking at ways to move forward. Then they received an envelope that gave them a task to do, which was to stare into each other's eyes for 2 minutes, which we see here. And it continues.
so shocked that I was like sitting and looking into Adrian's eyes. I'm dumbfounded. I've got this feeling that I want to kiss them.
These guys continued connecting through the second part of their task, which was to hug for 2 minutes. So that's what they did. It was quite touching, to be honest. It was. But my question is, how long will it last? How long will this last? Coming back to Sophie and Jonathan in St. Lucia, these guys seem to be having a whale of a time. We saw them having a mud bath. These guys were connecting by rubbing mud over each other. So that was very nice. Very touchy-feely. They're having a laugh and a joke, having fun. That's what romance is about. And these two are doing it well. So this is positive. But unfortunately, the same cannot be said of Gemma and Matt. These two seem to be very separate, having their alone time, because they just can't get it back on track. What they're missing from the wedding. We know what the problem is. It's Gemma. It's Gemma. She's too full on. No man wants a woman that's so full on. She's oversensitive. She's overdoing things. She's making a mountain out of a molehill. The whole 9 yards. What I see here is someone that needs to go to therapy. I don't understand why she's on the show. I don't understand. Because there's so much more going on here. It's got nothing to do with Matt. There is so much more going on here. She's not used to men rejecting her. She's used to men being all over her. Using her for the one night stands, the hookup culture. She's used to that. Because all they want is sex. All they want is sex. She doesn't know anything else. So that to me is disturbing. That there is disturbing. Matt is not able to deal with that. Because it's not normal. He's already said he finds her attractive. He really does find her attractive. But he just doesn't want to approach it with the lustfulness. He wants it to be organic in the way it develops. But she's just wanting sex. There's many more aspects to a relationship than bloody sex. Oh, I'm angry now. I'm angry now. Because this could be something if it wasn't for her. But let's see what she had to say about it.
I feel like I ruined it 'cause on the wedding day, I just made so many jokes it's put him off. I feel like it's all my fault.
Oh, believe me, it is all your fault. He's told you once, he's told you twice. How many more times is he going to have to repeat himself? I've had enough. And I'm not even part of the bloody experiment. I've had enough.
He was like really attracted and there was like sexual chemistry. Now he's backing off because of my sense of humour. So now I'm just like struggling to be myself. I can't keep my hands off him.
Did you hear that? She can't keep her hands off him. You know what? This lady here seriously needs therapy. If she hasn't already had it, she should go and get her money back. Because this is ridiculous. This is ridiculous. I start to question about her upbringing. Because she mentions about her father being absent, her mum struggling to raise 4 kids. It'd be interesting to know how the other 3 siblings are. Do they have the same abandonment issues? I don't know. But something is seriously wrong here. All of a sudden, what's his name comes in my head? Lara's husband. Forgotten the name already. And he's only gone last week. Oh, God, what's his name? Lara. Richie. Richie. Very tactile, touchy-feely. Needs to be needed. Very needy. And she comes across exactly the same. Just that she wears her heart on her sleeves. So you see all the tears, the snot, the vulnerability. This is too much. This is too much. Fast forward. We then saw these guys go on a horse and carriage ride to try and resolve their issues. Now, this is probably the most sane conversation I saw them have. More relaxed, not stressed out. Well, Gemma not being so stressed out. She's looking at things through a realistic lens. As she says, we haven't known each other that long. We're actually strangers. So I need to look at it from that perspective. Get to know him and let's see how things develop. Instead of thinking with sex. Isn't that what he's been telling you all along? Isn't that what he's been telling you all along? In part of that conversation, she mentioned about her upbringing in regards to not being allowed to speak. She wasn't allowed to speak unless spoken to. And to be honest, I can relate to that. And I think a majority of us older people can relate to that because that was the generation of how parents were. Not too sure about her because she's, 30? So her generation's slightly different. But my generation definitely was all about that. Children should be seen and not heard. But then it's had an adverse effect on her. Where with me, it hasn't had that effect. So everyone's different. But that's the excuse she gave anyway, in regards to why she's rebelling the way she does. She speaks the way she does, but there's no need for the vulgarity, which is what he was saying. So that doesn't make any sense to me. You could be outspoken, but you don't need to speak in that type of tongue. So where are we going with this? As far as I'm concerned, the two do not correlate. However, the trip did go well, the little excursion they had there, and they came to some resolution to move forward. So we're just going to have to wait and see what happens next. Moving on, we then saw Whitney and Duca being visited by, what's her name again? I seriously can't remember. But one of the matchmakers anyway, the sex therapist lady. So she was having a conversation with these guys about their intimacy and whether they were having any type of intimacy. We found out with that them two are still not sleeping together in the same bed. So we know Whitney's got the bed and Duca's on the couch. This sounds a bit like Bob and Megan from last season. Ugh. You know what? 3 weeks on the couch. Duca, you're good. You're good. No way in hell would that be me. Anyway, again, these guys were set the same task as Thomas and Adrian. 2 minutes to stare into each other's eyes. Another 2 minutes to hug. And the third one was them to be able to eventually kiss. Yes, kiss. Whitney was like, not going to happen. She was struggling with the first task to stare into his eyes, let alone hug him. This girl is not here for the right reasons. I don't know why she's on the show. They need to just get rid of her. She needs to go. I'm just tired of her. Everything about her just grates on me. Anyway, enough of my venting. They managed to do the first task with her squirming in her seat, and this is how it went.
You're so intense. Why are you staring at me like that?
Duca, as we can see, is just wasting his time. She doesn't fancy him. She never will fancy him. He's not her type. He doesn't fit her criteria. He isn't what she ordered. So why are we here? Why are we here? She needs to write leave in the commitment ceremony. I need to see the back of her. I've had enough. Moving on. We then saw a conversation take place between Sophie and Jonathan, and it was more about the little red flags that Jonathan was seeing in regards to where this relationship may not go. Yeah. He doesn't want to move to the city. It's not going to happen, he says. He's used to the countryside and that's where he wants to stay. While she's very work focused, city focused, and that's what her life's about. So the total opposite's there. And then he talked about wanting to travel at a drop of a hat, and she's not able to do that. So these are the two things that he doesn't want to compromise on. Not so much so. And the conversation continues like this.
When we have a conversation like this, it does bring it back to reality. He's cautious about a lot of things. I just don't want it to impact the fun times that we have.
And the conversation ends like
I
this.
know that I like you. We're getting on really well.
Do you think I'm overthinking things?
Yeah, I get it. I just equally think we just have to cross each.
Which when we come to it?
Yeah.
The more I see these two, the more I warm to them. Especially my girl, Sophie. She's from a different class. But there's something very wholesome and down to earth about her. I like that about her. Not too sure the other aspect of her life, but what I'm seeing here, I do like. So I'd like to see where this goes, because there's potential. But I still have my doubts, but there's potential. Fast forward to a conversation that took place between Gemma and Matt. The conversation started off well, and then it took a left turn.
To the rest of the time here, and let's just make the most of it, so enjoy it. Cheers.
Come on, Fanny's throbbing.
The conversation's becoming tedious. Same old, same old. Same old vulgarity. Oh, he's just had enough.
It sexually pushes me away.
I just had to do it.
Makes me go in on myself.
She really isn't getting the message. She really isn't.
I don't know what it is,
My sense of humour.
but for me, it shuts me off. The more it's spoken, the more I'm like, it's taking it away from me.
How many more times is he going to have to keep repeating himself on the same matter? How many more times? This is really frustrating. Let me tell you, if it was the opposite way round, a man doing that to a woman, that conversation would be cut off at its knees. On the first jump. There's no way in hell a woman would accept that behaviour. So why would you think it's the same for a man? Come on. Wake up. From the sounds of it, these two went to dinner the same evening and things again took a left turn. This time he walked out because the sexual innuendos, the vulgarity continued. She didn't listen to him at lunch or evening, whenever that was. She didn't listen to him the day before. She didn't listen to him the day before that. It's got to a point that he just had enough. They ended up sleeping in separate rooms. Well, he did. He moved to a separate room and she hasn't seen him for at least the past 12 hours. Now she's sitting on her bed all upset about what happened last night. But whose fault is it? He's been warning you. He's been warning you. But you took no notice. You didn't take heed. And now you're sitting on your bed crying. I'm sorry, I can't feel sorry for you. I'm sorry. I can't. You brought it on yourself. We, however, do hear that Matt wants to meet with her this morning over a coffee to talk about last night. But before that, Let's go back to Sophie and Jonathan. We saw these guys having fun. It was Jonathan massaging Sophie. They looked like they were having fun. This is more like it. This is what I call a honeymoon. And this is how it went.
Oh, that's nice. I would definitely say Jonathan's good with his hands. He's a tradesman, he's a joiner, so, you know, day to day, but it obviously transfers over to massages as well.
As you can see, she's blushing with excitement.
This is so hot. It's definitely building the sexual tension, and it's nice that it's there. It's nice to feel that. That's what I wanted.
Special service.
Gemma can learn a lot by watching these two flirt. This is what you call flirting. Not all that vulgarity that you keep coming with. It's disgusting. This is flirting. Again, these guys are heading in the right direction. So we'll just leave them here for now. Moving on to Keisha and Kwame. I nearly forgot about these two. And it's probably because I don't see them as a couple. Kwame is just playing games. But anyway, what happened was after the commitment ceremony, rather than come home, Kwame decides to stay away. Still for a few more days. As he said, it's a man thing. He doesn't like to be told when to come home or what to do. Let's put it that way. I've got no time for this foolishness. Anyway, what you see happen was him come to Keisha's room or their room and talked it through, supposedly. And then we saw Charlene knock on the door and come in. I remembered her name this time, Charlene, the sex therapist. So she came in trying to get them to be more intimate with each other. So she pulled out a few tools from her suitcase. And then we see, what's her name? Oh God, Keisha. Then we see Keisha transform herself into this massage goddess. She looked wicked. She did. Mr. Kwame was blown away. But I'm still not convinced that his attraction to her will change. It doesn't matter how minimal piece of clothing she wears. He's not attracted to her. But anyway, this is how part of the massage went.
That outfit's definitely the best massage outfit I've ever been massaged in. 5-star, great massage, loving it.
He said it was a great massage, but at the same time, he didn't look that relaxed to me. He didn't look that relaxed at all. He looked very tense for my liking. But anyway, after having the massage, we saw Keisha ask him whether he was coming back home. And he turned around and said, yes, he's moving back in. So that's where that ended. Coming back to Gemma and Matt. So these two met up for coffee, as agreed. And we got to hear from Matt what occurred last night.
Say what you need to say.
Okay. When we got to the restaurant, one of the first comments were, if you put that sauce all over your knob, like, I wouldn't leave it alone. It was like public masturbation over this food. And there was like references to like sucking cock.
So after all his warnings, she didn't take heed. Nothing's changed. Same old shit, different day. It's just constantly on repeat. You know what? I really worry for this lady. I really do. Because this is what we saw come out of her mouth.
I've had to sit in one way for 12 hours. I'm so scared because I'm getting feelings for you and I like you. And it's coming out in the wrong way and I will address that.
Look how desperate she sounded. Look how desperate she sounded. This lady should not be on this show. She should be sitting down on a couch in front of a therapist as we speak. acceptable. She has issues. It's embarrassing. I feel embarrassed for her. She shouldn't be here. Enough of my rant. I've got nothing more to say here. Moving on. We saw Sophie and Jonathan wake up of a sunny morning in St. Lucia, looking well rested, or were they? Well, we found out that they had consummated the relationship last night. After all that flirting with the massage oil and everything else, yes, they consummated their relationship. These guys were giggling and blushing like it was their first time. Yeah. Absolutely elated. So this is going in the right direction. Fast forward back to Gemma and Matt. We found out that Matt still wanted to continue with the relationship, which made Gemma feel much, much better. I'm worried, I really am. But anyway, we saw them go off on a picnic. Now, the picnic was much more relaxed compared to the whole of the week or whatever they spent with their honeymoon. This was their last day, and it ended on a good note. Very much more amicable, talking about the birds and the bees. No vulgarity, just a normal conversation. Normal conversation. This is what Matt's been asking for all along. He wants to get to know you. Not all this bravado that you're putting out there. It's disgusting. But anyway, these two ended off the honeymoon on a good note. So we're just going to have to wait and see where they go next. Whether this all comes back to surface or whether we continue on this nice, even keel. So lastly, going back to Sophie and Jonathan, they ended off their holiday with a nice evening meal. They were talking about how the honeymoon went and they're looking forward to see where they go from here because it's already looking positive. They're happy with where they're at. She's definitely happy with where she's at. Initially, they were saying at the wedding, we didn't have much conversation. It was more about looks and not really getting to know each other properly. But with the honeymoon, it has brought them on leaps and bounds. And as Sophie says, she can't wait for them to move in together. She really wants to get on with this because it's heading in the right direction. But we're going to have to wait and see how it pans out. So this is where I'm going to leave it. If you like what you heard, please like, comment and subscribe. Till next time.